Hej och välkomna tillbaka. Vi fortsätter i vårt program här. Det är sista för kvällen av bolag som ska presentera. Vi ska lyssna på e-commerce och med oss har vi Rebelle. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for welcoming us. Hello.
Yes. Welcome Cécile and Alexander. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and hello everyone. Wishing you all a good evening. Thanks for following our presentation. We will use the following minutes to present Rebelle to you in English. We hope that's okay, and I would start with just shortly introducing myself. My name is Cécile Wickmann. I'm the founder and currently CCO of Rebelle. I studied economics in Berlin, Paris, and London. My professional background is in the fashion and the digital industry. And I founded Rebelle back in 2013 together with my co-founder, Max. And now handing over to Alexander Eulenburg, our CFO.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alex. I'm the CFO of Rebelle. My background is that I studied physics many years ago. We did a PhD in Scotland at the time, then worked as an investment banker for 12 years. In the last 10 years, I've been in various roles in digital startup companies, originally joining the Rebelle team from the investor side, and then moved on to the CFO position.
Great. Now we would like to take the chance to introduce you to our business model. Rebelle supports sustainability is our claim. Rebelle is a sustainable high-end fashion model based on a truly circular business model idea. We call ourselves a managed consumer online marketplace, which is existing in 5 European languages. And when we say managed, we really point out the fact that we take full control about every single transaction being made on our website, rebelle.com, assuring every single product authenticity, quality, and the right price. Looking at our business model from the outside, I think you would clearly see that it's really 100% circular due to the fact that all what we are selling is 100% second-hand clothes. And the digital channel is our one and only trading channel, so we are 100% based on e-commerce. Giving you a little bit of an insight of the consumer trends and the market we are in. I think what is very official nowadays is that there is a growing awareness and demand for sustainable fashion, not only for brands, but for all kinds of solutions here. This is mainly due to the fact that it became really tremendously obvious that the fashion industry is responsible for around about 4 to 10%, depending on the angle you look at it, of global greenhouse gas emissions. And thus is really the second dirtiest industry in the world, with very strict goals to cut its emissions by roughly 50% in the coming years. And our very simple approach to that has always been to just build a platform which makes it easy for buyers and sellers to trade these products, which are almost in every single case of very high quality, and thus just enable people to extend the life cycle of their products. And for us, this is like a very recent development, because this has not always been the case since we founded Rebelle, is that we see that this big consumer trend is like really growing so much, and also especially the younger generations dominate the luxury market nowadays. And for these people and consumers, sustainability is not one, but in very many cases, the main reason when they're making their purchasing decision. Looking at some numbers on the overall primary market and also the second-hand segment, we are talking about a huge, around $400 billion global primary market. This is the market for personal luxury goods nowadays, still with Europe being the largest, even before the US and Asia. And we see that the second-hand segment nowadays is really outperforming the market growth. It's really not a niche, it's a mega trend, and it's there to last. This is at least what we strongly believe in. On the right-hand side, you see also the CAGR. There's an estimated CAGR of 15 to 20% coming from the second-hand segment as an estimation and growth over the next coming years. And maybe to give you also like some background of why Rebelle is so much focused on the high-end part. And when I say high-end, I'm really talking about luxury designers. The best-selling brands on our website would be probably all the brands which would cross your mind if you think of luxury fashion. This would be Hermès, Chanel, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Chloé, Prada, etc. So basically, the used Louis Vuitton bag would or has always been our kind of evergreen product to buy or sell. And the reason to focus on these luxury designer brands so much is first because these designer products keep very much of their value, even though they're basically bought for the second or third or even fourth time around. We face quite limited competition due to the brand's very strict distribution policies they are following themselves. So basically they make sure that their products are traded very restrictively. So if you search for a Chanel bag, you can only buy a Chanel bag at Chanel themselves or on websites such as ours. And we see that there's a very high consumer demand across not only these brands, but also across all countries. And we are positioned ourselves since the very early days as really a global company, or let's say with Europe being our focus market. And so for us, it's like extremely comfortable that we have a very high consumer demand when it comes to our brands, which is quite similar in every country we are in. So for us, this proved to be the perfect model for a re-commerce approach such as ours. Yeah, talking about the marketplace, I think it's quite obvious that we serve two target groups, which is the buyer group and the seller group on the other hand side. These two target groups are obviously overlapping to a certain extent, but in the moment of usage, these consumers are looking for a different USP. And there, of course, our approach is to like really point out these USPs and be the best in class here. For sellers, it's to offer a superior selling experience, which is like very time efficient and very easy to use. We do this with our concierge service, we call it. This means that a seller can throw everything in a box, send it to us, and we take care of the rest of everything regarding professional photos, the description, etc., and of course also the shipping, the payment, everything which belongs to the transaction. And of course, also ensuring the right price for every product sold. And this is something we do to our unique pricing database, are capable to do on a basis for around about 1 million products and price data points to date. For the buyer side, we guarantee the authenticity and the quality, which is of course very, very critical if you pay several hundreds or even several thousands of euros for a used fashion product. And this also differentiates us, of course, a lot from other large marketplaces such as eBay, etc. And this is done due to our first, of course, very experienced team of professionals when it comes to the brand check, but also based on a unique authenticity database, which we've built up over the last 9 years. I think both sides, what I would like to add is both sides add to a very good customer experience on buy side and sell side, and thus also yield in very, very high loyalty on customer side overall. Yeah, I already pointed it out. Rebelle is very focused on the high-end segment. We made sure from the very early days on that like this is a very, very clear communication also towards buyers and sellers. And this is also what we always stand for. This differentiates us quite a bit also from other competitors. And in our true belief is that this only can work out if you, by not only offering a portfolio of the most luxury brands, but also offer the most comfortable and luxury service on the other hand side. And this is also why we decided for the managed approach so much. And you can really picture every single product being sold on Rebelle.com, really also physically arriving in our warehouse hub and being physically proved for authenticity before sending it on to the buyer. Yeah, on the right-hand side, you just see the average of very good and good ratings for Rebelle versus their competitors. And I think this is a little bit of self-explaining, because if you take full control about the overall transaction, and this is our key USP, then of course you have a big advantage towards all the other marketplaces not following this approach. Yes, thank you. I would hand over to Alexander, who will guide you through the business model in depth, highlights, and of course, some financials as well.
Thank you, Cécile. So from a business model perspective, I think it's quite clear that we have the typical advantages of running a marketplace, which from the outside, we will look like a shop platform, but the great thing is that we don't need to buy any of the stock because it's all supplied by our sellers, and we just store it on their behalf, which of course is a blessing because we don't need any working capital. The transactions on our side are legally transactions between consumers and consumers. We're just a trusted party in the middle. And that means because it's consumer to consumer that we don't need to offer any returns, which of course is very good from a sustainability point of view, because we don't ship the products back and forth all the time like conventional e-commerce players do. And lastly, one of the key advantages is the fact that we don't sell the same kind of products that everyone else sells, because we deal only with brands that are very rare to get online, like Chanel, Gucci, and so on. On the KPI side, just to give you a very quick feeling, we take a commission rate of about 30%, so totally different from the players like eBay that charge 10%, because we go deep into the transaction, we handle the goods, and so on, we can charge 30%. We deal with very high shopping baskets due to the focus on luxury products. So on average, we talk about a shopping basket, €100. And because we sell things that other people don't, we have pretty loyal customers. So the customers come back and again, which of course is very nice, given how expensive online marketing is. I think last bubble here on the side on this page is quite important because the business model has quite high entry barriers. Cécile already pointed out the fact that we touch and deliver every item to the buyer. And that is facilitated by a kind of factory that we built up to handle all these single units. We take photos, we inspect the items, we describe the items, and so on. And that is something that was pretty tough to build up, pretty tough to get to this stage, but now it's very tough for others to copy that, we believe. Secondly, the typical entry barrier that you have when running a marketplace is that you need a critical mass of items, buyers, and sellers. We do have that. We have that in place, which is pretty nice. And of course, you can imagine now with after 8 years in the market that we have tons of data that we can build on. Quick look at our financial development. We closed last year at about 26 million euros in terms of net sales. We're taking about 30% out of that for our commission. We're still a bit negative, but the losses went down to 2 million. And on the very right-hand side, you can see that we virtually have no capex in our financial profile, and working capital is actually negative. Now, quick look at some recent developments of our company. We did an IPO at Nasdaq First North at the end of February, which was really very much of a roller coaster for us, because the day before we had our first, the day before we ranked Nasdaq Bell, the Ukrainian war broke out, and of course that also had a big impact on both our the stock market sentiment and also on our business, which was pretty tough. On the one hand, of course, we were super excited to celebrate the IPO. On the other hand, the world just seemed to turn upside down. Therefore, I think also with that in mind, and the fact that Germany is our largest trading market, which was still very much in a COVID lockdown situation, it's not surprising that we did not have such a great Q1 overall. We grew quite nicely on the sourcing side. So we got a lot of products onto the site. In terms of selling products, it was a difficult environment. You can also see that on this slide, where you see that our Q1 was closed below Q1 of 2021. Of course, our products are to a large degree, I mean, they are great, unique, get. But at the same time, of course, it's not products that people desperately need in times of a crisis with rising energy prices and so on. So we need to have a bit of patience at the moment. But the great thing for running a second-hand marketplace is something good is always happening. So when the world is difficult, we typically see a lot of traction on the sourcing side because a lot of people are interested in offering their goods, and that is a good basis for realizing future growth. Our strategy is now with the having completed the IPO is to leverage the unique things that we've built in terms of having this factory that is capable of handling large units of single items in a very scalable and cost-efficient manner. To leverage the critical mass that we have built up in terms of buyers, sellers, and items, and also the data pool that we have built up, and really push that in the next few years with the means that we got from the IPO in terms of additional capital to push on the marketing side and also to execute M&A transactions, because the field that we're in is a pretty fragmented market with quite a few smaller, interesting players that we see good opportunities to pick up in the next years and build a true European leader. Our company is already very international. The business model is very well suited for internationalization. Nevertheless, our core domestic market, Germany, is still the largest market. So for us, it's easy to grow via M&A in interesting international markets, like, for instance, Scandinavia or Italy, which are pretty interesting for our business.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I think we are coming to an end. So we hope that you gain some valuable insights in the market, also its dynamics, and of course also into our business model. Our true belief is that, as I said, we are not acting in a niche, even though the second-hand was probably perceived as such when we started in 2013. But this has really changed tremendously, and we are very happy to see these trends. Also because it really seems to go all in our direction to kind of really fulfill our vision to change the industry dramatically, because we can just not stick to what we did in the past. And this strong ESG megatrend will probably push the circular economy, but also many other trends within this industry. And we think that we really have laid the basis over our first years to kind of be one of the leaders who can really shape the future of European fashion in the coming years. With this managed marketplace model, which we've built up with no own inventory, which of course is a big plus, which also means that we don't have to handle returns, which is a big plus. I don't think we have pointed that out beforehand. And within this luxury segment, which allows for high margin and a high consumer demand. And really to do so, to kind of bet on our future growth, we are very happy that we are backed by the Nasdaq Green Equity designation, which we have received as first company already during the IPO within the global Nasdaq system, which I think is a very good opportunity also to attract long-term interested investors who are looking for sustainable investments. And we will further go this path within the European Nasdaq system, and of course are here for any kind of questions you may have along our journey. Yeah, this was our presentation. We still have some time left, I think. I think we should probably use it for Q&As in case you have open questions.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Cécile and Alexander, for your presentation. I will take this in Swedish just for the audience. Om ni har några frågor, skicka gärna in detta via sms till oss, så kommer jag vidarebefordra detta. We start off with some questions. You state that you have an M&A strategy. What kind of business are you looking at to acquisition?
I think there are a number of different types of targets, but the most easy one to explain, and I think a very good fit are companies that have a very strong position in one country that are pursuing a similar business model like ourselves. Typically, they are a bit smaller than us, but nevertheless, they have grown to some critical size, but with a very foothold in only one market. We went in the last years through the pain and blessing of internationalizing the business, which is quite complex with having consumers situated all over Europe and handling all the transaction processing and so on. Many companies did not go this way, and so they have a very nice position in their domestic market, but nevertheless they are a bit stuck in this market. And I think we believe that switching these companies to our operating model with the international international hub, that gives us quite a lot of opportunity to grow and to shortcut our development and our expansion into other countries, like for instance the Benelux market.
Yeah, okay. So it's still, I mean, Western Europe, Northern Europe, sort of that kind of markets that you're interested in.
Yes, the business model works. The business model works very good on a European scale, because we are very much focused on delivering a first-class shopping experience. Yeah. That always means fast moving, fast processing, and so on. And that is, and no hassle with duties and customs and so on. And if we stay within the European Union, we can really facilitate that and ship products within 24 hours to most places in Europe.
Yeah, sure. Alexander, one follow-up question regarding that. How scale will you have like local fulfillment centers to take care of all the logistics, or can you centralize it in the long run, do you think? Or how are you going to scale?
We have centralized it. We have always worked with a single hub. Already today, almost more than 60% of our transactions are cross-border, meaning that buyers and sellers are based in different countries, and we are handling this from a single hub. And we can do this because our products are so expensive. So it doesn't really matter whether the shipping costs €5 or €9 or whatever. And that's like the difference that we have. Switching away, not having a single hub would have the huge disadvantage that we have local inventories. So we offer different products to French customers than we would do to German customers or Scandinavian customers. And that really takes away the beauty of running a centralized marketplace with a big inventory.
Yeah, sure. I understand. Your growth target to reach 100 million in GMV, is that based entirely on organic growth, or do you think you need to make acquisitions to reach 100 million?
We have also factored in acquisitions for that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You mentioned, and also your interim report witness of that, is that you have some headwinds in the beginning of the year. Has that changed anything now in June, or is it still? Do you still feel some headwind in the e-commerce market?
I think at the moment, if you talk to anyone in e-commerce, they always said that last year was so much easier than this year. It's not that easy. Consumer confidence is a lot lower than it used to be. We have inflation around about 8% over here in Germany. So I think we need to have a bit of patience for the situation to settle down a bit.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, you have stated that you want to invest in marketing as a part of your strategy going forward. How is that development at the moment? Is it easy to find new users to your platform, or could you elaborate a little bit about that? The marketing cost versus increased customer base.
Sure. I think on the paid marketing side, the situation hasn't changed that much. But what we're seeing is that, of course, we live a lot from repeat orders from our quite big customer base that we've built up over the many years, and there we see quite a bit of hesitance to buy at the historic levels. So I think there we need a bit more patience in terms of acquiring new customers. It's a pretty normal environment like it used to be. of course, there were some quarters in COVID times when things were swinging up and down, but that you need to normalize.
Yeah, if you're going to reach your goal, then you need to have a lot of merchandise, right, on your platform. Do you think that is it difficult to find that today? To source new items to your platform.
I can answer that. I don't know whether you have heard the question, Alex.
Yeah, okay.
No, I think.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, I think also Alex pointed out and had also, I think, included a number or two in this presentation that we have we reach really record levels on the sourcing side. So we don't believe that this will be a problem to have sufficient growth on the inbound side to kind of be able to offer enough and the right products to our audience.
No, okay. Thanks for the clarification, Cécile. Is it? Do you need to refuse anything, or how does your process? I mean, your quality assessment. How is that process going?
Yeah, we actually do need to refuse items actually every day. That's quite part of our normal process since the very beginning. This is basically due to two factors. Either it's the quality or it's the authenticity. And already within the listing process, we try to make sure that we exclude all the rest. So all the brands we don't want to sell, or we know that the selling probability is too low. Also all the categories which we don't sell, because of course, if you're in a second-hand market, you might not want to sell underwear and sportswear, etc. So we are really restrictive already in the listing process, which means that very few items only arrive onto our tables, which we then have to refuse, but the ones we refuse is due to quality or authenticity reasons, and this also hasn't changed that much since the very beginning. I think it helps quite a bit that the consumers are aware that we, as a basically third independent party, check every product, so they won't send us tons and tons of fakes.
Yeah. Could you give us some flavor on the competition? How is that at the moment? Which are your biggest competitors? Is that the brand builds their own platform, or is it other e-commerce companies trying to copy your service?
Mm-hmm. I would not call it copy our service, as I think you pointed out. No, I mean, honestly, I think it's really due to our USPs. We are where we are, which really helped us a lot, and which I think are today even more important than they have been in the past. Nevertheless, of course, we see that there is really a lot of dynamics within this market. I mean, obviously, if you see that there is such a strong market trend and market segment growth outperforming the old market, then of course also all our current players in the market have to look at it very closely and come up with new ideas also to fulfill the demand and requirements of their user groups. And so what we see is it's really true what you just said, that there's also brands themselves coming up with additional opportunities or additional ideas on how to start secondhand within their, let's say, within their own brand platforms. Nevertheless, if you look at the research a little bit, I think there's around about 80% of brands saying they want to look a little bit deeper into the system and they can imagine to kind of also tap in the system, but around 60% say they don't want to build it on their own. And I think therefore I would rather see it as a big chance for Rebelle in our business model, because as I said, there's not so many players out there who can really fulfill this good customer experience. And if you are a luxury brand, for sure, you only want to send your customers to a platform or a service which is a trusted service and where you trust that the service levels are very high. So we see ourselves very well positioned for partnering up or potentially partnering up with brands or large retailers in the luxury space.
Yeah, I understand. So you rather see that you can make partnerships with these brands. Yes. I know, for example, to take a Swedish context, I think IKEA, the furniture company, they're building some platform to reuse furniture, and I guess from your point of view, I guess that will increase the knowledge in the customer base that you can buy old stuff, right? Or how should you interpret that kind of projects?
Well, I mean, I think that in the first phase, like these approaches from the brand side are like really counting on the demand from their own consumers when it comes to the brands themselves position themselves in the sustainable space. And I'm not talking about greenwashing. I'm like really talking about the need for sustainable approaches from brand sides themselves. And I think it's very clear that you can hardly purchase anything more sustainable than purchase a used product, or even not purchasing anything, but I mean, then they won't make any money. So I think coming up with like recycling, refurbishment, etc. of their own products is quite a normal extension for brands nowadays.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Cécile and Alexander. We need to move on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
And good evening.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.